Hello, America. Okay, I have had to wait a very long time to do this video that I wanted to do, obviously because all throughout Kyle Rittenhouse story, throughout the trial, Facebook has actively been trying to censor the truth and has been a part of the mainstream media narrative against Kyle Rittenhouse, and people were having their accounts seized, suspended, and frozen for saying anything true about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And finally, we're all vindicated and we can talk about the truth. And I want to take you through something today, and I'm asking you, I know it's going to be very difficult for people to listen to the very end. I know your stomach is going to turn. I know you're going to want to throw up, but I'm asking you to not stop watching this video because it's important that you watch it and that you share it. Because if we are going to contribute to a great awakening in this world, people need to understand what happened in this case, who Black Lives Matter is as an organization, and how desperately they are fighting to defend what is really just degeneracy. I'm not going to take you through the in and outs of this case. I actually just kind of want to talk about what we weren't allowed to say and why. And obviously, you guys all know by now that Kyle Rittenhouse was accused of killing two white men. So the fact that Black Lives Matter got involved in this case at all is completely extraordinary. And the narrative that the media presented was that these were two good white men that were out there protesting for Black lives. And this is one of the biggest media lies, I think, really ever. And I think it's bigger than the lies surrounding Saint George Floyd and the now statues and murals that we have around him, even though he lived his life as a monster. Because the only bigger monster that I can possibly think of that Black Lives Matter has ever defended is Joseph Rosenbaum. Joseph Rosenbaum was one of the men that was killed by Kyle Rittenhouse. And so, since Kyle Rittenhouse is now innocent, I would like to take you through, in the same way that I took you through George Floyd's arrest history, I want to take you through Joseph Rosenbaum's history. And again, I'm asking you to share this because people need to understand that this organization, Black Lives Matter, defends criminals and defends degeneracy, and they want degeneracy on the streets. So Joseph Rosenbaum, for those of you that do not know, spent 12 years in prison. First and foremost, he was charged by a grand jury with 11 counts of child molestation and inappropriate sexual activity around children, and that included anal rape. The victims were 5 boys, and those 5 boys ranged in age from the ages of 9 to 11 years old. I want to take you through all 11 counts because it is really important that you understand who this individual was, how despicable this person was, and I'm asking you to listen to what Joseph Rosenbaum actually did. Okay. Count 1 that he was charged on was public indecency to a minor by committing an act of sexual contact by masturbating while a minor was present. Count 2 was similarly committed sexual contact with a minor by engaging in an act of sexual intercourse by penetrating the victim's anus with his penis. Count 3. Again, these are 5 boys between the ages of 9 and 11 years old. Count 3, he provided and gave, advertised, or distributed items that were harmful to minors, photographs of nude women, including their genitals. Count 4, he committed an act of sexual contact by masturbating with the minor while the minor was present. Count 5, Joseph Rosenbaum, who is on pictures and is being picketed in his face, and their Black Lives Matter is talking about what a glorious person he was because he defended Black lives. Count 5, he knowingly engaged in an act of sexual intercourse, a minor under the age of 15, by penetrating the victim's anus. Count 6, he engaged in an act of oral sexual contact with a minor under the age of 15 years by inserting his penis into the victim's mouth. Again, these boys were aged 9 through 11, and there were 5 of them. God, it's hard to get through this. Count 7, he knowingly engaged in an act of oral sexual contact with a minor under the age of 15 years old by placing his mouth on the victim's penis. Again, these boys were aged 9 through 11 years old. Count 8, another sexual contact with the victim, a child under the age of 15, involving touching the victim's genitals and his penis with his hand. Count 9, a child under the age of 15 years old involving genitals by causing the victim to touch his own penis. Count 10, we're almost done. We only got 2 more counts. I know this is really hard to get through. Count 10, a child under the age of 15 involving the genitals by touching the victim's penis with his finger. And the last count was a count of indecent exposure, in which he showed the victim his penis. So that is Joseph Rosenbaum, who was the individual that was at the center of this child, who the Black Lives Matter and all of the mainstream media has been telling you is a victim and has been painting him as a hero, who is out there defending Black lives. Of course, any person who has watched any of the evidence knows that Joseph Rosenbaum, who was supposed to, by the way, stay away from all minors that were under the age of 18, because he spent 12 years in prison, and they reduced his counts. He copped a plea. So he went to prison for lesser counts because he copped a plea. So he went to prison for 12 years in total. And they basically just completely wanted nobody to know this information so that they could feed this incessant, disgusting narrative that somehow this case had anything to do with race, or somehow that Joseph Rosenbaum cared about Black people, when in the video, when he is chasing Kyle, he's using racial slurs. He's calling him the N-word. This man, to me, and not just this man, any woman, any person in the entire world who is a pedophile and who commits sexual acts against children, against little boys aged 9 through 11. The idea that any individual, that any organization, that any basketball player, I'm talking about LeBron James, that any media member, that any celebrity could actively try to paint this person as an innocent person, ever. Like, actually, if Kyle Rittenhouse, wasn't innocent, the idea that anybody would put Joseph Rosenbaum on a sign and walk around and pretend that he's a Black Lives Matter hero, you have to be a kind of degenerate that I can't even comprehend. And I wanted to walk through this because, A, we weren't allowed to before, but also because this is really a teaching moment for what people like me have been trying to tell the entire world for a very long time, which is that Black Lives Matter is an organization that celebrates degeneracy. Black Lives Matter is an organization that wants degenerates on the streets. Black Lives Matter is an organization that is pretending to care about Black lives, when in reality, all they care about is allowing criminals to roam the streets freely and mob justice. The idea that there were people that were praying and hoping that this innocent child, Kyle Rittenhouse, went to prison forever for defending himself against a real convicted pedophile, right? And people who watched this tape with their own 2 eyes, who saw Joseph Rosenbaum saying the N-word, using racial slurs as he pursued another child, right? God knows what he wanted with that other child. Certainly was not out that night trying to defend Black lives. He was out because, like most criminals, they know that the perfect cover for you to do criminal things is Black Lives Matter riots. They know that no matter what you do during a Black Lives Matter riot, the media will rush to defend you. They know that politicians will say, oh, well, that's just what needs to happen. It's social justice. They know that you can run into a store and you can steal a bunch of purses and you can smash the windows of a store. You can burn down a police precinct to the ground. You can burn down a Wendy's to the ground. You can spend an entire night stealing and shooting and doing whatever. And they know that celebrities will say, we need to bail these people out of prison because these people are heroes and they're social justice warriors. They understand that right now we have a very aggressive mainstream media that is trying to fight and protect criminals on the street. They are actually advocating for mob justice. Sorry, we have a little bit of work being done at the house today. And there appears to me to be no limit to that when we start talking about pedophiles who are pursuing young, innocent children, who, in my opinion, should have never been allowed to walk the streets ever again, and yet somehow are once again pursuing an underage child, as Kyle Rittenhouse was. So I just wanted to present these facts to you guys and to remind you of why we fight against big tech, why we fight against the mainstream media, why independent media organizations are stepping up to tell people the truth. Because too many people are brainwashed, too many people are deluded, too many people do not understand that Black Lives Matter, make no mistakes, is a degenerate organization. If you have ever given $1 to Black Lives Matter, you have given $1 into support of degeneracy. They have never, ever, ever defended somebody who was not themselves a criminal, right? It's it sickens my stomach. Anyways, thanks for all of you guys for watching this. You can, if you guys are not a member yet of the Daily Wire, please log on, use my code RESIST, and you can subscribe to my show. We're always telling you guys what's actually happening. We're presenting the facts of the case that the mainstream media won't tell you. dailywire.com/subscribe, and you can use my code RESIST for 25% off your new membership. Love you guys, and I'm happy that Kyle Rittenhouse is free, and may he sue every single one of these sick puppies who libeled him and defended this despicable pedophile.